Hi everyone, I'm Ali Ehtemami, a lead compositor at Image Engine. Welcome to World VFX Day. Today I'm excited to share some of our work on Avatar The Last Airbender. But before we dive into a live Nook script demo, let's take a look on the Image Engine's reel for the series. What a show! Let's talk about some quick facts. We worked on 310 shots in total, split it into 8 episodes. We dedicated the whole year with a crew size of 225, including technology, production, and all the artists. And to deliver the shots on time, we split the comp team into Team A and Team B and worked in parallel on different sequences. What makes this show very challenging was the fact that we were working on a vast variety of effects on different sequences. I mean, we had fire bending, earth bending, crystals, water bending, air bending, set extension, and many more. A lot of like paint work, background replacement, CG enhancement on the environment and on the props and costumes. So it's truly hard to make a template for the whole show, because if we are able to make a template, it's really easy to share it with our artists to follow. So it skips a lot of like handwork. But in this case, we have to come up with a reusable template, which I'll show you in a second. In the formation sequence, the shots actually I worked on the most. The main challenge was like the masking, because the characters are colliding or interacting with the FX elements. So we had to combine different data like 2D rotoscopy and 3D rotomation, or actually deep proxy renders, together to be able to put the actors in the correct position into 3D space. And as well as combining different elements, like we're working on the shots that has like all 4 or 5 elements together, like this one, which has a blast, fire effects, air bending, smoke, and some like debris. So combining all those together needs a lot of fine adjustment, because for example, working with the wind or air bending effect is very tricky, because if you add more color or more intensity into it, it looks like a smoke element. Or if you add a lot of like distortion to it, it looks like a heat distortion. So it truly needs a lot of steps to achieve the final look. To deliver all those complex compositing shots on time, in the best quality, and with the fact that we are not easily able to copy paste one shot's script to another, because a lot of things happen in a sequence, we had to design a modular compositing template, which is actually a reusable template. So that template should be simple, so it's easier for people to understand and follow. That means less questions and also less training time. And also should be flexible, because we don't want to start from scratch for each sequence or each shot. So we can easily copy paste one template to another shot and update the components we need based on the shot or sequence. And also definitely it should be a dynamic template, because we are copy pasting the same template to different shots and even different sequences. So each sequence has different elements as well as the shots. So the template should adapt to each shot based on the elements needed. And lastly, we designed and added our custom tools to the template. For example, this lens reflection node, which is actually automated lens flare generator. So now let's dive into a live Nuke setup, so I can show you the whole process as well as the tools we designed for the show. So yeah, what we have here is a comp final. So every compositor knows a comp final Nuke script definitely looks like a mess, but here, even if we have some like unused nodes from like past versions, but still is really easy to understand and very visually readable. And if you see, there's no like instructions in the template, so maybe the only instruction is here, which is more look like a log, you know. We say in the new like template version what we have done or what we add or remove, but there's no other instruction or like text to follow for the artist. So what are these colorful boxes here? We call these boxes modules. Each module does a specific job in a comp. We have some permanent modules and some shot or show specific modules. For example, these ones here for the lensing, blooming, and the lens flare, definitely it's a show a specific module here. But for example, the plate module or plate module, it's a permanent component of the template, because for each show and each shot we have to bring all the plates related to the shot to a start or compositing actually. For example, in this module, we bring plate, Dino's plate, paint plate, which we don't have it here for the shot, and that's why automatically disabled and turned gray. We have some special nodes specifically made for our asset management system in image engine called Yabuka. So if you see our read nodes has some icon here. So that means it's a dynamic node, which has different tabs, as well as all the roto masks and roto layers. So we split different roto shapes into RGBA layers. So for example, here we have 2 layers, matte foreground, which has a character in different shapes, and another one just for the eyes. Also, we can add our custom roto shapes here as user matte. So what we have here, also we use stamps built in the template to make it look more neat. And you know, if I see the connections, there's a spider web, but we don't need to see that links, you know. And thanks to the stamps, makes our workflow much more clean. So yeah, another permanent component is 3D data module, which has a camera and lens distortion node, and as well as a image plane node, which makes a corner pin based on the 3D camera, which is super useful in match moving, like garbage mats and stuff like that. And here at the end we have the grain module. So now I want to show you how we start the comp step by step based on the template. So we start with a base image. So this base image for the comp, we have some priorities to pick the right element for the start point. So what we have here is a paint stamp, but you know, we don't have paint palette for all the shots, but we keep the naming consistent. So we call it paint, but this paint points to a switch node here. And this switch node is a smart node. Actually, this is the code inside the which knob. Yeah, this is the code to select plates based on a priority. It's hard to, oh my God. Come on, yeah. Yeah, this is an expression inside the switch node to prioritize the plates. So actually how it works, if we have a paint plate, which we don't have it in this shot, but if we have it, for example, this checkerboard here, this switch node points to the painted plate. But we don't have a painted plate here for now. So then the next priority is denoise plate, and then the native plate. And if we don't have a plate and denoise plate, that means we are working on a full CG shot. And the cool fact is, this switch points to a crop, which is set based on the working format. So actually what we have here, we don't need to change the setup or comp layout if we work on a full CG shot or work on a live action shot. So again, the setup is consistent between shots. Yeah, enable again these 2 plates here. Yeah, and then continue. We don't add anything to the comp in the 3D data module. We just use the elements, or we just use the data, actually, the camera or lens distortion node. And then the first layer we add to the comp is the furthest layer related to the camera. So in this shot, we don't touch the background. So yeah, definitely we don't have anything in the far background. So what I started with is the interactive light. So yeah, what we have here, for example, is a treated rendered interactive light, but pre-comped because it's super slow. Then I added some additional interactive light for the face, which comes from this element here. And this element is actually Keen Tools render. We have the Keen Tool setup here. I can show you for Keen Tool setup. Yeah, this is a face builder. And this light is an animated light coming from the animation department. So yeah, what we have here looks like this. And then I pre-comp it and use it here in the interactive module. And definitely, yeah, it needs some proper masking. Yeah, so this is how I treated the face for the adding the interactive light. And then, yeah, for the hair is a bit different, so that's why I separated into different layers. And lastly should be for the body. Yeah, just a bit of additional light on the chest. And yeah, I continue like adding layers. Now it's time to add the eye reflection. So for the eye reflection, actually I need to maybe firstly comp the fire element. So we have all these like stamps pointing into different locations in the comp. So we have here pre-comp fx. So pre-comp fx is actually the next layer. But yeah, here we are adding the eye reflection, the reflection of the fire actually in the eye. It looks like this. And how I made it, I grabbed the pre-comp fire fx, which I add in the next layer. And I grid warp it, make it a bit smaller and maybe a bit deformed, and adding some sort of like texture to it. And yeah, so I copy paste the same thing for the other eye, and yeah, we have beautiful fire reflection on the eyeballs. Yeah. And the next layer is actually adding the heat distortion, but it's strange because we are adding heat distortion behind the fire. So there's a reason for that. You know, it takes a lot of iterations to achieve this final look. So to preserve the fine detail in the core of the fireball, we had to change the layering and add the heat distortion behind the fire. So yeah, even if it's behind the fire, we see what it does actually. Yeah, so that's why we put it behind the fire element. And yeah, definitely the next layer is a fire element on top. So yeah, if I just for fun disable what we added here for the interactive light, you see the difference of the eyeball. Yeah, how it changes the look. Yeah, and after adding the actual fire element, in some cases we have some plate over layer. That means, for example, maybe some part of the finger goes over the fire, but in this shot we don't see any part of the body goes over the fire. So actually we don't have anything specific here. Yeah, but it could be, it's something like this, you know. I'm just using Roto. I did some like simple treatments, but yeah, it's not needed. So that's why I didn't put more time to add the fingers on top. And next we're adding the blooming effects here, something like this. So what we have here, we get a pre-comp effects stamp and a stencil the character if it's over, so we don't have any part of the character over the fire, and then some treatment, some beautiful glow merged together and then added on top. So yeah, we are just adding the blooming caused by FX, not caused by the plate itself, so it's safe. And yeah, next we are adding our beautiful magical lens flare or lens reflection effect, which is something like this. So this lens reflection node actually has several knobs, but we never touch the knobs inside lens reflection. So how it works, it grabs the pre-comp FX, which is usually the fireballs, and generates something like this. And if I pre-comp it, it's pretty interesting because you see a beautiful animation. Let me make it a bit brighter. So yeah, this is how our automatic lens flare tool works. And lastly here, we add some like lens dirt, but very, very minor. You know, it's hard to see actually. Oh, talking about DI mats. So For each layer, we add DI mats using these two special nodes, inject DI mat and merge DI mats. So everything is named properly, layer by layer, and implemented in the setup. So the artists don't need to like manually add DI mats to the comp. So it saves a lot of time again. And yeah, at the end, adding a grain on top, and the grain should be like zero difference on how we work actually. And I can QC the whole process at the end like this. So what I see here is the difference between the plate and the comp final. For example, if there's any problem with the grain, for example, if I just add a blur here and mask part of my comp, for example, like a strip, something happened here and ruined my grain, I can easily see the problem here. So yeah, then I can investigate what's going on with my regrain process. And yeah, this is how a typical shot in Avatar: The Last Airbender looks like. And that's it. Thanks for watching my presentation and happy World VFX Day.